to use our scale for accuracy. Get our mixing bowl in place here. Tare that to 0. First, we're gonna have 300 grams of Bob's Red Mill all-purpose flour. But really, you just wanna get a gluten-free flour that's good for bread making, something with a higher protein content, and I'm adding xanthan gum, so something that doesn't already have binders in it. Tare again. 45 grams of expandex. There are other brands. You just want a modified tapioca starch. Plain tapioca starch, cornstarch, potato starch will not work. Here, we're gonna add 1 unflavored gelatin packet. 1 tablespoon of xanthan gum, a heaping 1/8 teaspoon of salt, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1½ tablespoons of sugar, 3/4 a teaspoon of CMC cellulose gum, 1/8 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 3 tablespoons of dry milk powder. I've got about 220 grams of hot water equivalent to 220 milliliters. So now we're gonna do our honey. It's gonna be 1½ tablespoons. So that's gonna be about 31.5 grams. Before we add our yeast, we're gonna wanna double check the temperature. We don't want anything over 120 because that'll just kill our yeast. It looks like I'm pretty close to in my range. I might just let it cool down a little more because I saw it hop above 120 for a second. My honey water mixture has chilled out. We're gonna add in 1 packet or about 1/4 of an ounce of fast rise yeast. I'm going to stir that in a little bit. Now we're gonna give this 5 minutes to double in size. And while we're doing that, we're gonna mix our dry ingredients together real quick that we measured out. Now we're gonna add in our butter. I just have fridge temp butter here. We want 3 tablespoons cut into smaller bits. We're gonna mix until it's kind of a sandy texture. This is roughly a sandy texture. No huge chunks that don't break apart pretty easily. Time for our next step. This is what our yeast looks like after about 5 minutes. You can see how much foam we've got at the top and how it's definitely activated. Pour all that in. Perfect. Now we're gonna add 2 room temperature eggs. For acidity to help make our yeast happy, along with the cream of tartar we already added earlier, we're gonna add a teaspoon of lemon juice, room temp as well. Time to mix. 6 to 8 minutes at least a medium speed. Let your dough rest like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. While our dough is resting, we're gonna make our filling. Unsalted butter, melt that in the microwave in 10-second increments. Vanilla bean paste, that one's optional depending if you like the flavor. 1/4 a teaspoon of salt. Cinnamon, can adjust for your preference. Brown sugar. So this is our filling. I'm just gonna mix it with a fork. That looks pretty good to me. We're gonna be using an 8x8 pan. Use vegetable shortening, whatever your favorite thing is to stop things from sticking. First step before shaping, as always, cornstarch. Lots and lots of cornstarch. That's how we shape such a wet dough. I'm going to cornstarch my hands, and then we're just going to cornstarch the whole outside here. This is about what I want it to look like. So I'm going to put that in my center here. I want it about 18 inches wide because I'm going to make 9 cinnamon rolls. And if for any reason you need more cornstarch, don't be scared. Use it. It'll be fine. I think I'm pretty close to where I want to be, so I'm going to measure to double check. We're going to be chopping off our edges here, but this is, yeah, about 18 by 12, which is what I wanted. So we're going to move on to our next step. Here's our trick for the day, a pizza cutter. I think this will be kind of a game changer for you. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get clean edges on everything. Now I have my pretty decent rectangle. Time to add our filling. I spread it around pretty good, and now I'm just going to pat it down so that it is pretty well attached. This edge and this edge, leave like 1/2 inch to 1 inch. On the sides, we're going to try and get it as close as comfortably possible. Alright, we're ready to cut. We're looking to make 9 cinnamon rolls, so we're going to cut a bunch of 2-inch pieces. This is the hack, but we're going to line up our pizza cutter with our little 2-inch marks, and we're going to slice up that way. I'm just going to do that on every single one. Simply roll up each individual one. And don't worry about the cornstarch, it's okay. Try to roll it loosely so it has room to rise. Here's your beautiful cinnamon roll. Pretty awesome, huh? I'm gonna let them rise now. I'm gonna put them in my oven and with some cups of hot steamy water to help keep it humid. You want your oven to be somewhere between 80 to 100 degrees. You don't want it too hot because we're not trying to cook anything. We're just trying to keep the yeast happy. These are our cinnamon rolls after rising for about an hour and a half in a warm, humid place. I'm now preheating my oven to 325 degrees and I'm keeping my water in there to keep it a humid environment for when they're baking too. Got some heavy cream here and we're just gonna kind of gently paint our cinnamon rolls. Just whatever parts we can kind of get to. As soon as our oven hits 325, we're gonna pop these in. Bake 35 to 40 minutes or until golden brown on top and cooked through. Our cinnamon rolls are out of the oven and are cooling down. Now we're going to make our frosting. 4 ounces of room temperature cream cheese, 4 tablespoons of room temperature butter, 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, 1/8 teaspoon of salt for flavor, about 1/2 to 1 teaspoon based on preference vanilla extract, up to 1/4 cup heavy whipping cream to desired thickness. The nice thing about doing this in our food processor is we can just dump it all in at once. Puree until it's thick, but still somewhere between a frosting and a glaze.